Hi guys, hope you're all doing well. In today's video, I'd like to share some tips for those who are looking to get into programming but aren't necessarily sure what language or framework they should pick up first. So if you decide to get into software development or any field for that matter, before watching any programming tutorials, the first thing you'll want to do is to research your market because you don't want to acquire new skills in a specific language or framework only to realize later that there's no demand for that skill set in your job market. So personally, I think this should be the starting point for any before you do anything. And you can do this by heading over to sites like Google Trends and Stack Overflow Trends to see what the trends are like in your specific area. So to give you an example, I'm going to open up Google Trends here. So let's say I'm considering for programming languages, I'll say JavaScript. And then now add another language to compare with, let's say Java, C Sharp, another language, let's say Python, and perhaps Ruby as well. So these trends are specific to South Africa, and I want to see, like, over the past 5 years, which languages have been the most popular in this country. I can just click on the filter there and select my date range. So over the past 5 years, as you can see, Java has kind of been leading in search terms, and this is Google search terms. So there's been more search terms for Java than Python, C Sharp, and JavaScript. And if you scroll down, you can get to see popularity by province. So as you can see, Western Cape, for example, the most popular language in that area would be Java. Oh, sorry, Python rather. Python comes in at like 31%, and then Java second with 27%. So this data is unique to SA. But if I wanted to check another country, for example, let's say the United States, the results might be completely different. So as you can see, in the US, we've got Python, which has been leading for the past 5 years, unlike South Africa, where we had Java leading. In the US, Java comes in second. And if you scroll all the way down, you can see which languages are popular in what states. So, for example, we have Utah here. And in Utah, Python comes in at 32% with JavaScript second. So let's filter maybe worldwide to see what the global trends are looking like. So globally, for the past 5 years, Java as well has been leading, Python coming in second, and then JavaScript third. So as you can see, you get an overview of what the global trends are like, but this is completely different to what your market specifically would be like. So if you want to drill it down to your specific location, then you'd want to filter by your country. So let's say, for example, India. Let's see what the trends are like there. So in India, you've got Java as well, which has been leading for the past 5 years. So once you do this, what you'd want to do is maybe check job posts in your location and see what languages are actually in demand and whether they relate to the data that you see on Google Trends. Another site you'd want to have a look at is Stack Overflow Trends. So with Stack Overflow trends, you get to see the most popular languages that were tagged in questions that have been posted on Stack Overflow. So let's do the same comparison as we did here on Google Trends. So I'll first put in JavaScript, then Java, what else? Python, and Ruby. So as you can see on Stack Overflow, you get to see the trends as well. So Python has been leading, well, for the past few years, but before that, JavaScript, and then Java coming in third. So yeah, so if you're intending to get a job after learning a new language or framework, first do research on which frameworks are popular in your location before you dive into anything. And once you've settled on a language, so let's say in this case, in SA, for example, if I go back, so over the past 5 years, Java has been leading. But if I go towards the right here, as you can see, Python is kind of increasing in popularity as compared to Java. So over the past 5 years, Java has been leading, but Python is kind of picking up as well. So now let's say I decide to go with Python. What I'll do next is compare the different Python frameworks, and I'll do this on Google Trends as well. So let me get rid of the others here. Okay, so when it comes to Python frameworks, I'll first maybe compare Django, and then another one would be Flask. And as you can see, Django is way more popular than Flask in this country. And parts of the country where this is popular would be Western Cape, Eastern Cape, KZN, and Gauteng as well. So if I were to choose a framework between the two, I'll then go with Django just based off the data I'm seeing here. One other thing you could do, for example, if you're interested in maybe applying for a specific company, or maybe you know a company that's offering graduate programs and you want to apply to that company at some point, what you can do as well is check the tech stack of that company. So let's say you wanted to get into Facebook, for example, what you can do is Google Facebook's tech stack. And this should give you like a list of all the technologies used at Facebook, for example, PHP, React, GraphQL, and so on. So if you wanted to work for a specific department, you just figure out which frameworks you need to learn to be involved in that department, for example. And then, yeah, so you can find other companies here, maybe like Uber, Google, and whatever company you'd like to work for at some point, and master one of their frameworks or tools. Yeah. And then once you've settled on a language and you've picked a framework, then YouTube is your friend. You've got a lot of tutorials up there that you can go through and learn and master the language. And you can also go purchase online courses on Udemy and other sites. But first things first, just do research on your market and figure out what exactly is it that you want to do and which languages are more popular in your location before you dive into anything. Thanks.